Hi, and welcome to my first actual devlog. For most of you, this is the first video that you have seen of me, and if that's the case, then welcome to the channel. I'm a high school student who is making a game in their spare time using the Godot game engine and coding using GD script. I actually used to have a bunch of videos on this channel, but because they didn't come out the way that I liked and didn't attract that much attention, I've taken them down for now so I can have a fresh start and focus solely on my games. After all of my introductions, I should probably also introduce you to my game. It's called Chippy the Warlock Cat, or Chippy for short if you would like to call it that way. It's basically a game where you play as a cat called Chippy, who is a warlock of course, and is also based on my friend's real life cat, Chippy. I'm making these devlogs to showcase my game to everyone with sort of vlog type style that goes over my progress across the week. So let's get started with what I did. I started my week on Tuesday because of a public holiday on Monday, and I have a set period of time after school on Tuesdays to work on my games and videos. I'd added a rudimentary grappler system to the game for some general movement, and I mostly worked on the script of this video, but I also figured out how to fix a big issue regarding textures, where I'd wrap the whole texture around the mesh instance rather than the individual faces. This was fixed mostly by changing the position and scale of the texture on the mesh. I would have done more, but my bus was running really early, so I left the school to catch it. When I got home, I decided to play some games and then have dinner. After that, I spent some time on science homework which I had to do, and then some quick work on Chippy, which was adding a closed environment to a grappler level which I'd been working on to test out the grappler. But then it got up to 9:30, which was usually when I try to go to bed, so I decided to hit the sack. I started the day by going to school and spending Genius Hour working on my game. In my high school, Genius Hour is a set period of time in which we can work on individual projects or just schoolwork, and I usually spend my time working on Chippy, obviously. Today I tweaked the movement quite a bit to make it more realistic and fluid, kind of like Carlson, if you wish, and I also fully enclosed the grappler test level and began coming up with some actual level ideas. I'm thinking of making some arena levels where you are dropped into one gigantic pit with obstacles and stuff, and you are forced to fight a bunch of enemies. After some work there, I had a karate lesson, which I had to go along to obviously, and then when I got back I decided to do some maths homework, and I also did some drawing on some concept levels, mainly on the arena levels which I said, and also a little bit on the characters that I want to make. I didn't have as much time on Thursdays as I did for the other days for the week, mostly due to homework and stuff, but I was able to get some things done, like level planning for the next level, which I think will be the arena type thing, where you drop down into the level and fight a bunch of bad guys before proceeding. Possibly I could implement a system where you could fight waves of enemies instead of just one giant mob of them. I should also explain what the enemies are. I currently use the sock puppet model I made in Blender a while back. I can't say why it's a sock puppet because that's part of the game's lore, but it works for now, at least until I have to make new enemies. It's finally Friday. I have a lot more time on Fridays than I do on any other weekday because I don't have to get up early the next morning. So I decided to make a proper grapple model. It's heavily inspired from the grapple glove and the grapple blade from Fortnite, which call me cringe all you want for playing that game, but I personally think it's actually very fun. Now there is a big issue, and that is that the grappler might look and function a bit too similar to the grapple blade. The grappler is going to be something which you throw, and it's also attached to Chippy's sword, which is pretty much what the grapple blade looks like as well. I'll show a clip of it or a picture on screen if I can find one. But yeah, if someone does know if this is allowed to include something like this in my games or not, please let me know in the comments, I'd really appreciate it. It's Saturday and I want to implement more sound effects because currently there's just sound for sword swinging and footsteps. So I found a super cool sound effect for sword making contact with an object or an enemy, and tried to put it in the game. I tried to attach it to the player directly, but for some reason it wouldn't play, and I'm not really sure why. Possibly it's because I didn't reference the target areas properly, or it could be something else, I don't know. But I managed to get it working by playing the sound from the sock puppet instead of the player, which is probably a bit more realistic anyway, because the noise would probably come from the sock puppet, you know, because you're hitting it. I also changed the way the sword detects when it can swing again. It used to time its swings based on whether or not the sound effect for swinging was finished, which led to some big chunks of code that I didn't really need, so now it's properly timer based. And while I was at it, I changed the grappler's rope model so it came out from underneath the camera, because it used to look really weird coming out from the crosshair. That's probably all I can do for today, because I'm going to hang out for lunch with one of my friends, and when I get back I'll probably spend the rest of the day editing this video. While I'm editing this video, I should also explain how I made Chippy and how I got the idea. The idea of Chippy being a warlock came from a comic I drew when I was way younger. Yeah, Chippy was just a cool idea that I had. I just had this idea of turning him into a comic book character, and so I turned him into a warlock wizard type guy. And then I came up with the idea of, hey, what if I made a video game out of this? And at the time I was seriously into Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, so I thought about trying to design a game like that. But then I came across indie shooters like Ultrakill and Carlson, and I was heavily inspired by their movement and fast-paced gameplay, and to me that fit the idea and the lore of Chippy way better. And most of the movements and the weapons are inspired by all sorts of different games. Like, the movement is inspired by Team Fortress 2 with lots of surfing, lots of bunny hopping, lots of air strafing. Some of the weapon systems that I will make later on will be inspired by some games like Ultrakill, and other things might be inspired by just random things like the grapplers that is inspired from Fortnite, and yeah, all sorts of other things as well. It's Sunday, and I'll spend most of the day editing the video since I want to get it uploaded by next week. Next week I want to focus more on levels and stuff, rather than random updates and bug fixes, which I did this week. Let me know what you would like to see in Chippy the Warlock Cat down in the comments. I'm always open to suggestions. Might even add in some spellcasting or a new enemy if you guys want to see that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you liked the video, and dislike if you didn't like it, and consider subscribing if you want to stay updated on Chippy. I'm still very new to YouTube and making games, so any suggestions are always welcome, and hopefully there will be a new video soon.